So let's get right to it. Why don't you, we'll start off with the simple question. Why don't you tell everyone in the community who you are and how you are connected to the adoption and foster care community? We'll start with that one.
That sounds good. Well, my name is Zara Phillips, and I am an adoptee in reunion with both families. I have spent the last, 20 years now writing about my experience as an adoptee. I started off writing about becoming a mother and what that meant. And then over the years, sort of progressed to search and reunion, addiction. I struggled with my own addiction. I have long-term recovery. So that's been something really important to me to write about. And just sort of the milestones of being an adopted person and what happens during these milestones, how it keeps re-triggering the adoption experience. So I do a lot of that. And I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've had a one-woman show. I do it all different forms. I sing about it, I write about it, I act, and yeah, and I'm an activist too.
Well, let me start with I'll call it the entertainment part of your journey, the books, the one woman show, and now I have your song stuck in my head, the I'm Legit, because I kind of like the words to it, and I see that you collaborated with DMC. Obviously is a big message that you're both trying to get out there. You want to tell everybody what was the message that you were driving home to everyone? It's when you hear it, it's pretty obvious, but to some it might not be.
Well, I think how we ended up writing the song was as you can tell, I'm from England. And then when I moved to New Jersey, or well, to California originally, and then to New Jersey, I didn't know that records were sealed, because in England, the records are open. So I was absolutely stunned, because to me, America was always way ahead in so many ways. And this was just, unbelievable, really. So I met Daryl, and we were doing, I was asked to join in for NJ Care when they were trying to get the records open for NJ Care. And I would go down and speak at the Senate House as a British adoptee, saying, records opened in England, nothing bad happened. I'd bring Daryl because they knew I was friends with him. He would come with. And then as we drove, it would take us like a couple of hours there and back to Trenton, we just began to talk about the power of music and that we need to do a song about this. And, we're both so different, right? He's Black, I'm white, he's American, I'm British, male, female, but we were both born the same year and our experiences are the same. So in the song too, we were just trying to say it's a universal feeling. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's the fact that we were all, relinquished and we don't have our rights. So that's really how the song came about.
Why do you feel that you felt it was important for you to be able to write about it, to well, you've done books, correct? You've done books, you've done a show, you've done songs. Is that helpful and therapeutic to you? Show it, because it's hard to share your story, and through that you're sharing your story. What made you decide to start writing to get your story out there to help everyone? What was that?
Well, I think, I began to realize as I was doing my own work and being in therapy and having, going to groups, adoption groups, that this was a gift that I could give. I was able to talk. I've been in 12-step program for years. I knew how to speak about my story, and now I was just expanding it. And, with the song with Daryl, we said, what is the most powerful way to connect people is music and lyrics. And then we did the video, which I love, because we had a lot of adoptees involved. I really wanted it to be for all of us. It wasn't just about me and Daryl. It's like, this is a community. We had like an adoptee edit the video. I wanted the community involved. And, I'm not American, so it wasn't my experience that records were closed, but I was so appalled by it. I just loved being on that journey in New Jersey to support them and to speak as a British adoptee and say, hey, we're not these crazy people. We just need to know where we're from. It's just that simple. So, and I suppose the other thing is when I was pregnant, I had my son, I had such profound experiences when he was born, really connect, even though I knew my birth mother, just so much stuff came up for me. And then I thought, I need to know if other adoptees have this experience around motherhood. So I began to write about that. It was almost like I was just compelled to do it, you know.
Hey, you've got the
Not,
talent. Why not, right? Because some people can have a story, but they can't put it in words or they can't share it in a song. So far, your workshop is called The Lifelong Impact of Adoption. When you tell a little bit about a synopsis of what you're probably going to talk about, because with your story, you have so many different avenues that you can take. I'm sure it'll probably take some twists and turns as we're listening to you, but a little bit about what you might be talking about.
yeah. I mean, definitely as you get older, more happens, right? That's the other thing, you have more to talk about. I'm going to be talking about the milestones in an adopted person's life, and well, in everybody's life. Like, we all have milestones: birth of children, death of parents, all these things, and how they can re-trigger the adoption experience, because that's something that always has surprised me in life. You know, when I was young, I thought, oh, when I grow up, I won't be adopted anymore. And it hasn't been that way. It is literally a life, there is a lifelong impact. And it's always surprised me, it still can. And really, I want to talk about how we get through those experiences. And as somebody who's sober, and, you know, how do we deal with things that can be so deeply painful for us? So I'm going to be talking a lot about that, and my search reunion, motherhood. I'll talk about all of it.
I like asking this because it gives a perspective of the person that I'm speaking with. I always ask about what kind of, some people love reading books as they're going through their journey. They feel connected to a book that they've read. Some people feel connected to a mentor that they feel. Was there anyone in your life that you felt was like, helped you drive you a little bit, or you know what, this was just something that was personal to you and you drove yourself? Like, some people are connected to something.
Well, I
What
think
really drove you?
I mean, sobriety really drove me. I think getting sober really drove me to start looking at
What made you do
myself.
this? How there's definitely must have been a piece of you that said, okay, this is it, I got to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
What was there? Was there someone, or was it, you know what, you were strong enough to say, you know what, I'm just not doing this anymore?
Well, my adopted brother had a lot of issues, ended up in treatment, and I went to a meeting and I just heard people speak, and it was like I knew I wanted to live. You know, there was a change of, actually, I do want to live, and I had so much support, so that really helped me. And then I started going to adoption groups and just hearing other adoptees speak and reading. You know, I read Nancy Verrier, The Primal Wound. That was like one of the first books I ever read. That was life changing for me, because you're like, oh my God, all these things I have thought about, somebody knows, somebody understands. And then actually another book that I love, it's nothing to do with adoption at all, is called Man's Search for Meaning. It's Viktor Frankl, and it's just his experience as a human being in the Holocaust, actually. But he has such a spiritual outlook on what happened to him. And somehow that book has really resonated with me. It's something I pick up, you know, years later, just to read and go, okay, you know.
I see that you, in your bio, and you've just stated that you're an adoptee advocate. What things do you focus mostly on? Original birth certificates, or is there something, because sometimes I find that adult adoptees find that there's one thing that they really like to advocate for. Is there something, is it global, it's a whole bunch, or do you have something that you really like to grab onto?
There's a couple of things. I talk a lot about addiction and recovery, because so many of us struggle. So that's been a main piece. And I really like to talk about the trauma of being an adoptee. And I talk a lot now to professionals. You know, I'm doing more and more of that. And I suppose my passion is to say, babies remember everything. It just blows my mind that people don't think that they do. So I suppose my message very much is, babies know everything. And and there is a trauma to being relinquished. So that, you know.
So I guess the last question I'll ask is, if someone's seeing this and they want, and they're coming to the conference, why come and see you? Why do you feel that your message is so important for everyone to see?
I think I really do get to the heart of the adoption experience. I think if anyone is struggling and they want to hear something very honest, I do go there and I talk very honestly about the realities of it. So I feel that my work is beneficial to people that are struggling, to parents, to families that are struggling with their children. I'm very much, somebody that wants to talk about the solution, like how can we support people that are going through this? So you're going to hear like the hard stuff, but you're also going to hear the solutions of what we can do to support one another.